If you can't feed your baby, yeah, yeah, then don't have a baby, yeah, yeah. And don't think maybe, yeah, yeah. If you can't feed the baby.
Yeah, yeah.
Wanna be starting something, you got to be starting something. You wanna be starting something, got to be starting something. Too hard to get over, yeah, yeah. Too low to get under, yeah, yeah. You're stuck in the middle, yeah, yeah. Pain is thunder. Mama say, Mama sa, Mama kusa. Mama say, Mama sa, Mama kusa. Come on, Rock fan. Mama say, Mama sa, Mama kusa. Mama say, Mama sa, Mama kusa. What in the world? All right. Let's get this party on the road. Welcome to the Sabby and Jaybe show on Revolutionary Blackout Network. I am one of your hosts, Jaybe James Fauntleroy. Good to see you, Sabs.
What's going on, Jaybe? It's been a minute.
It has been a minute, and I know you've been really busy lately, especially working on your documentary that's coming up. So how's it going so far?
It's going. I think I'm pretty lucky, pretty fortunate that I was able to find an editor because like he's been helping a lot. There's no way I could have done it without an editor because it's a lot of footage to go through. We did a lot of interviews. I think probably at least 2.5 hours of interviews. And then you have to, you know how it is, JB. You have to go through and you have to edit like certain like sound bites and pull from here, pull from there. And then I also do voiceovers for part of it as well. And then we have news clips, etc. So yeah, it's a lot of work, but kudos to him because without him, I couldn't do it.
Yeah, and then also that on top of that, you got to come up with B-roll, all that different stuff.
And continuous. That's a continuous thing because like I already had B-roll, but then there's certain things that like he'll notice, and then he'll say, it might be good to get like B-roll of this neighborhood or this location, etc. So we've been getting like consistent B-roll footage. So
Gotcha. Well, I can't wait till the finished product is ready because we need to talk about this. So I'm excited for it. And by the way, later in the show, if we can share the crowdfunding that you're doing in order to be able to pay for editing, then we'll have that. Just let me know so we can share it as well towards the end. Okay. All right. So, all of you guys that are watching us out there, if you have not already, go ahead and give a like to the stream. Thank you so very much. That helps us out to be able to reach more people in the algorithm. We Black, we got rhythm. We got algorithm too. Anyway. Oh, Lord, I just came up with a dad joke. Is algorithm just another way of saying that Al Green has rhythm?
Oh, no, JB.
I know.
Oh, no.
Let's stay together.
That one's brutal.
I'm tired from that workout, Sabs. I'm goofy.
Brutal.
Yep. Also, guys, if you have not already, go ahead and join our mailing list at revolutionaryblackout.substack.com so you guys can get those email notifications wherever we go live or upload any clips. And if you guys notice, we've been having more clips uploaded so you guys can see that there. So you guys won't have to peruse through an entire live stream. So you guys have that there as well. Also, if you guys like to, you guys can also email us at revolutionaryblackout@outlook.com if you guys have any stories you'd like to submit or some encouraging words you like to share. So thank you very much for that. Now, let's say hello to some people in the chat and then let's get on with the shizzo. Okay. We have Ashura says, is this a roundtable or Sabby and JB show? Did you notice the little icon in the upper right-hand corner, Ashura? That's a new logo. Yep. We got some talented friends. We got some talented friends. It's exciting.
Yeah, shout out to Greg for that one, man.
Shout out to Greg. Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we have this. I gotta be careful, but this is for I'll read this one. Seven Sword Mary says Tehran unravels documents exposing the secret IAEI Israel collusion. Interesting. I don't know exactly the details about that, but it says the document reveals that covert coordination between IAEA, I think it's the International Atomic Energy Association, Director General Rafael Grossi, and Israel, showing that the IAEA chief repeatedly acted in alignment with Israeli directives regarding Iran. That's not surprising. Files include email exchanges reported in Hebrew between Zafri Odiz and another Israeli figure, Eli Redig, which have not yet been translated into Persian. Look, I'm going to tell you right now, the empire has got their tentacles everywhere. And by empire, I talk about the United States empire because, Israel is just a tool of the United States empire, the Western empire, the corporate dictators. So it doesn't surprise me at all in the least bit. But thank you very much for that information. Hey, says, hey, Jaybe and Sabby. I was on the show last night with the Illinois Green Party. So, yeah. Good to see you. It was a great conversation, by the way, guys. Go ahead and check that out. So we have Laura says, hi, Sabby and JB. Happy to catch you live. And yay, there's also a lot going on. Dang. Yeah, it's a lot going on. Wait. Good name. JD and on my couch. Oh my gosh. What is that? Is that?
Wow. Oh my God.
Oh,
I don't know what to say.
Me neither, but it's funny. All right. Sensei says, yay, Sabby and JB. That name.
That is too funny. Oh my gosh.
Oh my goodness. What is I picture JD Vance saying, so close yet so far.
Oh my God.
I kill myself, man. I slay me, man. It is hilarious. Anyway, Roger Meadows says, Larry Sharp says, algorithm.
Oh yeah. I think I've heard him say that before.
Yeah. All right. We have Brown Bunny says, oh, hi. Hello. Good to see you. We have Cat T saying, I love you. JB goofs are the best. Oh my gosh. Sometimes I wonder how Sabby actually deals with me. I don't even know. I can't even deal with myself. All right. We have Chris C says, woo, JB and Sabby stream the best kind. Thank you so very much. Talkish coming in as a RBN channel member, coming in saying peace. All right. Or is that rock on? Whichever one, we're going to do it. Peace and rock on. Why not? We have Gut One says June 14th for No Kings demonstrations all across the world. Okay, nokings.org. Okay, thank you very much for that. Candles Boat coming in and saying, hey, fam, good to see you, Candles Boat.
Hello.
Mm-hmm. We have Jacqueline coming in and saying, hey, JB and Sabby. Hey, everyone.
Hi, Jacqueline.
Steve Wolfbrandt says, hello, everybody.
That's how we would say it down south, too.
Yep.
Everybody.
Mm-hmm. Killy Millimeter says, hey, you guys going to the Trump birthday parade?
No, thank you.
No. Can't believe me and Donald Trump have a birthday in the same month. Ugh. Anyways.
I'm sorry, JB. At least it's not the same day.
Yeah. Thankfully, I have a birthday the same day as Kwame Ture. So that's my saving grace. Katie Lewis, who is a part of the Orlando chapter, says, good evening, comrades. Good to see you. And Jimmy says hi. And then, okay. So it's time for us to begin. Let's get into what we're going to be talking about today. It is going to be a very worthy topic to get into, especially in regards to the neighborhoods that are being affected. Musk versus Memphis. Elon Musk is putting our community at risk. We are going to talk about it. This is a major thing. And if you care about the environment, I think this is something that you should pay keen attention to, because this is the intersection between capitalism and our a degradation of our environment. So let's get into this. So Sabs, I want to start off with this video. So let me ask, have you ever used Grok on Twitter?
I haven't used it, but I see other people asking Grok questions.
Okay. Now, as for me, I have never used it. This kind of makes me not want to use it now. And you'll see why. Let's share the screen, shall we? So this is a video that came out from More Perfect Union. Shout out to them. And this is basically talking about XAI, which Grok's a part of. So let's get into this.
So the mission of XAI and Grok is to understand the universe.
In 2023, Musk founded XAI to produce and sell artificial intelligence.
We want to understand the nature of the universe so we can figure out where are the aliens, what's the meaning of life, how does the universe end.
Its main product is Grok, an AI chatbot that he's incorporated into Twitter, or X. Musk was entering the race to dominate the AI market, but he was arriving late, years after competitors like OpenAI and Google had begun training their AI systems. So in Musk's mind, he had to move fast.
We went to the data center providers and said, how long would it take to have 100,000 GPUs operating coherently in a single location? And we got timeframes from 18 to 24 months. So we're like, well, 18 to 24 months, that means losing as a certainty. So the only option was to do it ourselves.
Been waiting for this moment. I am pleased to announce that XAI's Gigafactory of Compute, the world's largest supercomputer, is to be located in Memphis, Tennessee.
Musk dubbed the project Colossus, after a movie about a supercomputer that becomes sentient and assumes total control of the world.
And so, my fellow human beings, we all directly and indirectly live in the shade, but not the shadow of Colossus.
When you think about the computational power that it will take to put humans on the surface of Mars, that's going to come from the Gigafactory of Compute that calls Memphis home. We were told that by the company. And so it required speed and power.
It's announced as a done deal.
Keyshawn Pearson grew up in South Memphis.
A billionaire and his organization is coming to our city, and we're just finding out after the land has been purchased, after the project has been approved by certain officials, right, who did know.
This is huge. This puts the word out there that Memphis understands operating at the speed of business.
As a community, we're trying to reach out to people and understand what is XAI. He built it without us even knowing that it was being built.
We had to.
So hang on. So let's get into this, because I looked at the demographics of Memphis. Memphis, Tennessee is over 60% Black.
Yep. And hyper segregated, by the way.
Yeah.
Memphis is one of those cities like Cincinnati that's hyper segregated, meaning that you have like a Black side of town and a white side of town.
Mm-hmm.
If you guys ever saw, and I don't know if you saw this, Jaybe, but if you ever watched the movie The Blind Side,
yes,
that they talk about it a little bit, or they focus on it briefly when they're going to, you know, pick up Michael Orr, that type of stuff, when Sandra Bullock's character is kind of following him to see where he's going home, and
Mm-hmm.
she's like, oh, he's on that side of town. Like it's hyper segregated.
Yeah. So just to give people a background, that's why I said putting our community at risk. It's not just our community as workers, it's Black workers. So let's get into it. Let's hear a little bit more.
To watch this over X or Twitter, Brent Mayo, Elon Musk would tweet often about where they were in the progress, how fast things were moving.
To train an AI system, a data center requires an enormous amount of electricity. The question was, where would the power come from?
Most companies, when they come to the city of Memphis, they plug into our power grid. That's what you think would happen. Why would this be any different? Unfortunately, we learned because it is a billionaire's corporation, it would be a lot different.
XAI made a deal with the local electric company for 150 megawatts of power and agreed to build a new substation to help meet that demand. But Musk's ambitious plans suggested he would need much more power than that, and fast. Soon, people started to notice some unusual structures outside the facility.
I drove out there, and the first thing I did was hear the turbines. You can smell it as well. Such a disturbingly unique smell.
From the road, Keyshawn and others could see a row of machines that are typically only used for remote or emergency operations. Mobile gas turbines.
I have never seen portable turbines used like this.
Patrick Anderson works on air quality cases for the Southern Environmental Law Center.
We know that these kinds of generators require air permits. And so right off the bat, we started filing records requests with the local Shelby County Health Department. Do you have an air permit application from XAI? And they came back and basically said, no, we have nothing to hand over. We also filed records requests with EPA to see what they had. They also did not have details on what is on the ground out there. Nobody from the regulatory side, the health department, the city, EPA, has told the public or us really one iota of what's actually operating out there.
To figure that.
So this is a part and parcel of the problem with the system that we have now, is that if you're citizens of a town and they're creating this huge project that will affect you in any way, you have a right to know before a decision's even made, before they ever approve of it or break ground. You're supposed to know and be able to give your voice about whether you approve or disapprove of these different projects. Like, for instance, here in Orlando, there was a big meeting about creating a homeless shelter, and the people from one side of town who it would affect less actually, had more of a say what was going on. But even still, the citizens were able to have a say. But what about the citizens in Memphis?
Yeah, I mean, even here, we're notified. Like, we'll receive a letter in the mail or an email or sometimes a text message if you're signed up for like those alerts, and they'll tell you like if something's coming. Even like when it's new construction, like they'll notify you, and you can come to the town meeting or you can go to like the mayor meeting if you want to. They're pretty good about that here. And when I lived in South Carolina, same thing. When they decided to build what we would call a mega complex plaza that a lot of people were against because they said it would create more traffic, and they were right about that. They notified people like actually a year prior and had meetings about it, etc. So it's crazy that the people in Memphis weren't even notified.
Yeah, as if their voice doesn't matter.
Right.
Yeah. All right, let's continue.
Out, Patrick and his team hired a photographer to capture the data center from above. The images revealed far more turbines than anyone knew about. 35.
I couldn't believe it. I was absolutely stunned. How do we not know about this?
According to XAI leadership, the turbines are not being used and are not connected.
Under pressure, XAI claimed it was using less than half of those turbines.
I've talked to the XAI leadership team. There are 35, but there are only 15 that are on. The other ones are stored on the site.
Well, first off, these are expensive. There's a turbine shortage nationally. You don't obtain these turbines and put them on site if you're not intending to operate them.
So Patrick and his team sent the photographer back out with a high-end thermal camera.
What we saw is 33 of the 35 were very clearly operating.
The turbines were capable of generating about 420 megawatts of electricity, enough to power around 300,000 homes.
They built a power plant out there. And they've done it overnight, no air pollution controls, quick and dirty, no permit.
I mean, what you've done with the cluster in Memphis is incredible. Just in a handful of weeks.
Any given thing can be sped up. Like whatever the speed is being done, it can be done faster.
This is the largest AI cluster in the world. This place is absolutely amazing.
That is like superhuman. I mean, Elon is singular. Building a massive factory in the short time that was done, there's only one person in the world who could do that.
And this entire supercomputer is built to power rocks.
We were given a tour at XAI, looking at the facility. Very impressive, very exciting for Memphis. Their commitment to the community is remarkable.
It's unique.
Commitment to the community, but they don't want the community to know that they exist until the ground is broken.
Yeah, not only that, I'm willing to bet, JB, that a lot of people that use Grok have no idea about this. Right? Like one thing I can say is that I do want to give a warning to people that live in rural areas. You see, what Elon Musk did in Memphis, that is the beginning. That's not the end. Because the tech industry in particular, they've already built up as much as they can for the most part in the urban areas, right? So we have like like Boston's a tech hubs, Silicon Valley, San Francisco, like all that kind of stuff. They've already, have their established facilities in the major cities. But in the major cities, there's only so much land, right? Like these cities tend to be dense. Boston's very dense. Like New York City is very dense. So you can build up, but you can't build like out, right? And then there's restrictions on how high you can build up, depending on where you live. Like in DC, for example, you can only go so high. That's why there's no skyscrapers in DC. I don't think any building can be taller than the Capitol building or something like that. It's something like that, either the Capitol building or the Washington Monument. I forget which one it is. So what is going to happen is that they are going to start to build in rural areas because there's more land. And you see that right now happening in Memphis. And I heed that warning because the number of times people will, criticize the blue cities and stuff like that. And they'll say, you guys, it's expensive there because all those tech bubbles and da-da-da. Well, what do you think is going to happen when they run out of space in these blue dense cities? They're going to start to build in rural America. So they're coming your way too. So Memphis is just the beginning and poisoning you at the same time.
Yep. It is a matter of time before they start heading to towns in Nebraska and in Montana. If they start heading to ones in Missouri, and in Iowa, it's just a matter of time. And look, cities like Memphis, especially majority Black cities, we're the canary in the coal mine. So if they're coming after us, that means they're going to come after you next.
Yeah. Yeah. This isn't going to be just a blue city thing anymore. Because like I said, and I'll tell you, like, you look at a lot of these cities, they're tapped out. Like maybe you can lease a floor in a building, but for the most part, there's not as much space for you to build anymore. And again, like I said, in the urban areas, you have a lot of, there's restrictions. You have to have certain permits, et cetera. And there's zoning policies that you have to adhere to as well. So it's not as easy as it is to build in a rural area. So hence when Elon says, oh yeah, we built it there and we did it very quick, they don't have as many restrictions, right? And even the restrictions they had, apparently they didn't even follow the process of notifying the people, notifying the public in Memphis. So there's that, but it is true. Jaybe knows this as well. He lives down south. I lived down south before. They build very quickly down south. Like I've watched them build homes like that. I've watched them build companies, like company buildings, like very quickly.
And part of that is because, you know, a lot of people who are more conservative, especially from a fiscal standpoint, are, you know, for a large part against regulation, because to them, regulation slows things down. And so for them, it goes a lot faster because there's less hoops to have to go over, even if those hoops are to ensure the safety of the citizens.
That's right.
So is all regulation bad? It depends on the regulation, but I'm gonna tell you right now, regulation is also there as a safeguard. It just depends on the type of regulation.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's continue. This is wild, bro. I'm not even gonna be able to play the whole thing, but this is
It's remarkable.
It's unique in my experience.
Joseph Goffman has worked on air pollution issues for decades. Until January, he ran the EPA office that regulates air quality.
Most companies that I've dealt with go to great lengths and spend a lot of money to make sure that the day they turn on their operations, they're also turning on their pollution control equipment. That's a given. For a company to do this, it's treating the people who live there as if they don't count.
I like to open my windows early in the morning to breathe the fresh air, God's given air, not the air that man want to give us, but God.
Easter Knox lives just over a mile from XAI.
I really wasn't getting the fresh air. I was getting that pollution that was mixed in with everything.
You know how you light your stove and that gas seeps with the little ticking noise? That's what it smelled like.
Alexis Humphreys grew up here, one street away from Easter.
When I smelled it the first time, I was asleep. And it woke me up because I thought gas was seeping in the house, but come to find out, we come outside and all the neighbors was outside trying to figure out what's going on.
He was an ordinary dad, full of joy, full of jokes.
Last year, Alexis lost her grandfather, who struggled with a respiratory illness called chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, or COPD.
COPD is a breathing condition, but you don't get it unless you smoke cigarettes. And my granddad didn't smoke cigarettes, but every 3 weeks or so, my granddad was going to the hospital. He would have to get breathing treatments. I have asthma, bronchitis. My mom have just bronchitis, and now my granny has it.
You can't hardly breathe. It's just like your whole world is collapsing down on you. And it's frightening.
Easter and her husband have also developed COPD. What does it feel like?
Feel like you're fixing to die.
So this is one of the biggest things that a lot of people don't realize. And I just want to highlight this here. When it comes to health disparities with Black people, especially Black Americans, we are overrepresented in cases involving asthma, pulmonary issues, because of a lot of the pollution that is happening around us in the cities in which we primarily live in. Or even if we're not the majority in that city, the areas in which we live, these areas where they pollute the most, they're putting these factories and centers near our neighborhoods primarily. And so then we are the ones that end up contracting these diseases, not just us, but it could be our parents, our kids, everybody. And so this is part of the disparities, the health disparities that happens, for those of us who are Black.
This is also part of the reason why Black communities are more likely to have a lower life expectancy, unless it's a wealthy Black community, right? Like Potomac or something. Like there are wealthy Black communities, particularly like in Maryland, for example, but typically that's not the case. And I think one of the things that really stood out to me was a couple years ago, and I was interviewing someone here in Boston about similar issues. And she pointed out to me that if you walk across the street, your life expectancy increases. But once you live on this side, it decreases. And that's not uncommon. So more people need to be talking about this, that Elon Musk is basically poisoning a Black community in Memphis, Tennessee.
Yeah.
And this is one of those things, again, where I said, if you just focus on class, then this story just gets missed, right? Because it's not Elon Musk, it's not Elon Musk poisoning like, white people, black people, all these different people like of lower class. Like this is a black community. Like I said, Memphis is hyper segregated. So, and it's not uncommon. Like this kind of thing is happening all across the country. It's happening all across the country. We talked about Flint, Michigan multiple times. Flint, Michigan, predominantly black, right? So you see what happens. Like Elon Musk wouldn't try to do this in Beverly Hills. And the asthma rates are really concerning because it is true. And you talk to medical professionals, they'll explain to you as well that they do see higher asthma rates among Black Americans here in this country. And a lot of it is because of environmental pollution. They are polluting Black communities. Jill Stein had Cancer Alley as a part of her platform when she was running for a president. That's down there near in Louisiana area. It's a big deal. They are actively poisoning these communities. Now, here's the thing. This is my prediction. I really do believe that part of the reason why, like the Democrats, for example, are not trying to make life better for poor and lower income people is because they know that if they're looking at the future, if they're looking at AI and the job force and labor, et cetera, there's not going to be much work left for everyone. AI is going to consume some of these jobs. We just have to face that. That's just going to be a reality. And then that means that the people who no longer employed have nothing to do. I really do believe they want some of us to die off. And I've felt this way for some time, that they want some type of population control. And so the easiest group to exclude are people who are poor, and also in particular, Black people who are poor. That's the easiest group to say, oh, well, if they die, whatever. You know what I mean? So this is why, and Jaybe, we've talked about this before, this whole argument over Democrat versus Republican, et cetera, and you're not focusing on the people at the top, you're not focusing on like billionaires like Elon Musk or billionaires like Peter Thiel, is problematic because at the end of the day, like I said, if you're poor, right? If you're lower income, Black American living in a Black community in the United States, it doesn't matter if you're Democrat or Republican. That doesn't stop Elon Musk from polluting your neighborhood. Tennessee is a red state.
Yeah.
It's a red state. So those things the parties, and I say it's a uniparty, but the parties is really something I think to keep people thinking that they're fighting against another side of like opposition, but they're not really in opposition of each other. They both are there and they exist to maintain that status quo and to protect corporate interests. And because of protecting corporate interests, that's why that community in Memphis didn't even get a heads up about this project that was coming in.
Yeah. In fact, let me share some data with you guys. So this is actually something that this is out of Stanford. It says more Black Americans died from effects of air pollution. This came out in 2024. It says a new study reveals social factors that increase the risk of dying from air pollution and finds stark racial disparities. So I'm just going to read just a couple of lines. It says everyone knows that air pollution is bad for health, but how bad depends on who you are. People of different races and ethnicities, education levels, locations, and socioeconomic situations tend to be exposed to different degrees of air pollution. Even at the same exposure levels, people's ability to cope with its effects by accessing timely health care, for example, varies. A new study by Stanford medicine researchers and collaborators, which takes into account both exposure to air pollution and susceptibility to its harms, found that Black Americans are significantly more likely to die from causes related to air pollution compared with other racial and ethnic groups. They face a double jeopardy, more exposure to polluted air along with more susceptibility to its adverse effects because of societal disadvantages. Says the results demonstrate how air pollution can drive health inequities, contributing to a large portion to the difference in mortality rates among different groups. Yet by the same token, the researchers say that reducing air pollution could be a powerful and achievable way to address these inequities. And so it talks about the exposure the particles. And so this goes more deeper into that. And so that's just one thing that I wanted to share that was out of Stanford. And there's also another study, evidence about this when it comes to the disparities when it comes to air pollution that people like Elon Musk are perpetuating. This is out of the American Lung Association. Disparities in the impact of air pollution. It says the burden of air pollution is not evenly shared. Poor people in some racial and ethnic groups are among those who often face higher exposure to pollutants and who may experience greater responses to such pollution. Many studies have explored the differences in harm from air pollution to racial or ethnic groups, and people who are in a low socioeconomic position, have less education, or live nearer to major sources of pollution, including a workshop in the American Lung Association held in 2001 that focused on urban air pollution and health inequities. The most recent EPA review of the research on the health effects of particle pollution concluded that non-white populations, especially blacks, face higher risk from particle pollution.
Yep.
So it talks about socioeconomic is tied to greater harm. We talk about the wealth disparities that happen, within the Black community. There's also wealth disparity that happens, like for instance, the median income for people within Memphis, Tennessee is about $32,000 a year, which equates to about $15 an hour. Meanwhile, you need to make well over $25 an hour to afford a 2-bedroom apartment, according to the National Low Income Housing Coalition, and they're out of reach. And on top of that, Tennessee has a minimum wage of $7.25 an hour. So you factor all that in and factor in that racial disparity as well, then people can't even afford to move away from these centers of pollution in order to be able to have better health. And on top of that, they can't even afford healthcare. So therefore, they're forced to stay in the same position, and they're forced to go untreated for these positions until it's time to go to the emergency room. And so this is part of the issue that we see, especially within this system of capitalism, right? Because it not only creates second-class citizens as far as economically, but also health-wise as well. We are also second-class citizens too.
Exactly, JB. And then the other problem is too, if you don't have health insurance, or let's say you have an adequate health insurance, you're less likely to go to the doctor, right? Because then you may have to pay the full visit out of pocket. And if they want to run any labs, then you have to pay for that too. Like, that's just the reality. So that being said, like, add all those things together, like combine all those things together. And it's really disturbing that Elon Musk is doing this. And I honestly feel like this should be national news. Like, I don't even like this should be everywhere, not just, more, because I saw More Perfect Union was the one that, made the announcement about it. But I feel like that story should be everywhere.
Yeah.
And then the people in the community, and this is usually how it goes. The people in the community get sick, they die off in the community, and then the land is seized or taken by means of sometimes eminent domain or whatever, and it becomes corporate land. Like, it's insane. And I'm just warning people and sounding the alarm that just because you live in a rural area doesn't mean that it's not coming to you too.
No, especially if you live in a rural area in a red state, because that means that the regulations are less, which means that it's going to be easier for people like Elon Musk to put these sensors of pollution in your area. And next thing you know, you're in another, basically East Palestine, basically having the same issues or similar issues to East Palestine, right? And seeing what they go through.
And people in East Palestine, Ohio are still sick.
Yeah. And East Palestine is a majority white town.
Yep.
Yeah. Let's continue on in this.
The area around XAI leads the state in emergency department visits for asthma. Memphis has one of the highest rates of toxic air releases of any American city, and many of its most polluting facilities are in this neighborhood.
Elon, what he did with Memphis is objectively somewhat dirty, but he's also doing it in an area where there's like a bigger natural gas plant right next door, and like a wastewater treatment and a garbage dump nearby, right? And he's obviously made the world a lot more clean than that one data center.
In just 1 year, XAI has blown past existing polluters.
They're emitting somewhere between 1,000 and 2,000 tons of NOx. I'm an air pollution guy, so I deal in those numbers all the time, and that's larger than anything else in Memphis.
Gas turbines like these release 3 main types of deadly pollution: nitrogen oxides, formaldehyde, and fine particulate matter. Nitrogen oxides combine with other pollutants to form ground-level ozone, which causes and worsens asthma and COPD. Formaldehyde causes cancer, and particulate matter, airborne soot, can pass through your lungs and into your bloodstream, causing heart disease.
We've shown up today because we've been to too many funerals. We've shown up today because we've cried too many tears. We've shown up here today because we're tired. And we have an expectation of the people that we elect and put into place. We expect them to do what is in our best interest. Not Elon Musk. And what we're saying is that stops now.
In April, hundreds of people came to a high school in South Memphis to talk about XAI. In January, the company belatedly applied for a permit to operate 15 of its turbines for 5 years.
I'm going to invite a representative up from the applicant XAI, Mr. Brent Mayo.
That's the first time that XAI has publicly addressed the community in any way.
I understand. I want to hear the statement, but again, XAI is committed to meeting the highest standard for emissions. XAI is going above and beyond the required emission control required to that. Thank you very much for your time.
He immediately left after reading his script.
Oh, but Elon cares, right?
And also notice that when Elon Musk had that interview with Lex Fridman didn't push back. Like, why didn't Lex Fridman bring up, did you get the approval of the people in the town? And what about the pollution? And you know what I mean? Like, didn't push back or anything.
Mm-hmm. Jesus Christ, this guy he's the worst.
It's extremely disrespectful.
It's time to start telling the truth. The truth is that XAI, who just ran up out of here, they have no controls that prevent air pollution or decrease air pollution in their factories. None. That's the truth.
Now,
Today,
one thing I want to add,
authorities have taken
really quick. None of this happens without the approval of the mayor and the politicians. Because when developers come in, remember the mayor approves those things, approves those developments. So part of the problem that you also have is that some of these mayors and the city councilors, which you find out who your city councilors are if you don't know, because they control the budget. Right. So the mayor and the city councilors and some of these people all working together with big time developers.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So, Stabs, this is what I love about you. You went exactly where I wanted you to go. Great point. Because let's show the city council of Memphis, Tennessee. Let's take a look at these people. All right, here's the city council from Memphis, Tennessee. Oh my goodness, what do you have there? What would we say? Black faces in high places. Are they going to save us, Sabs?
No, they sell out for themselves and for their own political careers. Everybody see, this is why the whole, oh, you should vote for somebody just because they're black. Like, right? Like, just like you. This is why that doesn't mean anything. So you see this? You see what's happening? And they'll get this. This happened in Atlanta. Remember, the majority of the city council that supported Cop City in Atlanta was black. A lot of these people, they sold out. They just getting their money and want to get, their political career and take off from there. They don't give a damn about actually, helping the black community or any of the communities or preventing harmful substances from coming into said community. I bet you they probably don't live in that town.
Yep. I'm going to tell you right now, you have 8 black people that are part of city council. They are the majority of city council. 8. And then the white people only count up to 5. So when we talk about black faces in high places are not going to save you, especially if they're running within the duopoly, we mean it.
And again,
but what were they warning the people that this was about to happen? So it just goes to show that, this is why we talk about doing mutual aid and building dual power, because you got to pay attention to local, because if people aren't paying attention to local, then this stuff could happen to your town if it hasn't happened already.
And for health reasons, like, honestly, those people ultimately would have to, because here's the thing, it's built, it's there. You would be fighting back against billionaire like Elon Musk. 9 times out of 10, he's not going anywhere. Those people in the long run are probably going to have to move.
Yeah.
That's the other problem. I said the same thing about East Palestine, Ohio. In the long run, those people may have to move. Now, can they afford to move? Probably not. And then also notice all those, remember the video that you showed earlier? Most of these people have homes. They're not living in apartment buildings. Look like they have homes, right? So if they move, there goes their wealth. Because those houses in that community in Memphis, Tennessee, they're not going to sell for a lot of money. And then they'd have to move somewhere and buy another house. But then you'd have to make enough off the house that you're trying to sell for you to get another house. And anybody trying to buy a house in this market right now will be able to tell you, like, the homes are really expensive. So long story short, this also disrupts generational wealth, because whereas they would be able to pass that home on to, down to their children, and then maybe like their grandchildren, and from there on, and keep that in the family. Now they may not be able to do that because the community is being poisoned. So they would have to move and they'd have to start all over again.
Yep, absolutely. And then on top of that, the median income in Memphis, let me share this as well, is only just above $30,000 a year.
That sounds about, I was going to say that sounds about right. Like for Tennessee, to be honest with you.
Yeah. And so when people talk about, that's just, that's the median income, there's, some people are saying, well, it's even higher because, the average income, but the average income, you're taking some of the highest earners and put in with some of the lowest earners and how it averages out. But we need to look at the median and see that. All right.
Yeah. Tennessee, for the most part, especially Memphis is relatively cheap. Nashville, not so much anymore, like it used to be, because a lot of people have moved there. But years ago, it was a cheap place to buy a house, cheap place to live. Like you didn't have to make a lot of money. And it's part of the reason why, I really think that's part of the reason why, like the Daily Wire decided to set up shop there. in Nashville, because that was years ago, but it's relatively cheap. Like if you're making like six figures, like you can live like a king or queen in Tennessee for the most part. But yeah, that income amount there, that looks about right. But again, if that's the median income, you don't really have much to pack up and like, how are you going to move with that? Because you're still paying your mortgage and other bills. So how much money do you have to put aside for savings? Moving costs money.
Absolutely. And let me just share some more thoughts from the citizens of Memphis, because it's important that you hear their voices, because a lot of times people, they hear these things, hear these stories, and there's no faces to these stories. And we need to humanize the people who are being affected. So let's go here.
Memphis is one of the most populated high schools in Memphis. Over 2,000 students in that building. And to build something that close to those kids, I mean,
So we're also talking about these data centers and these pollution centers that are being built in your schools where your kids go.
Yeah, they're trying to poison the kids too. They don't care.
Yeah.
They don't care. This is why we continue to say there's no such thing as a good billionaire.
No. Let's continue. So this guy, hold up, wait a minute. Wait, we got to go full screen. This guy right here is part of the problem, but yet he's there. Because his party is the same ones that won't do a damn thing. And then they'll allow the Republicans to do what they do when it comes to cutting, because they use the Republicans as boogeymen to then say, okay, the Republicans are going to do this. Now donate to my Act Blue so we can prevent this from happening again. But then when it comes time to actually move the needle so it doesn't happen again, then the Democrats are sitting there twiddling their thumbs. They don't know what to do.
This guy didn't even talk like this a couple years ago. Like his whole voice changed. Like his voice didn't sound that way. He was, quite preppery, didn't have an afro, and then all of a sudden, I guess he decided to reinvent himself. Like literally, if you look online, I think we showed it before, Jaybe. If you look online, you find the videos of him like years ago. He doesn't, his voice isn't even the same. I'm not just talking about his rhetoric.
He had a fade. Like, bro, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? Trying to act all revolutionary and shit. This act is not, we ain't buying it.
No. Nah.
Like, this is not 1976. If it was 1976, he'd be wearing a dashiki right now. In fact, he did wear a dashiki.
He did. I was gonna say he did. Yeah, he and he's an obvious one.
Look at his tea, man.
He's an obvious one too. That's the funny part. Like, yeah, he's another one. I guess who was aspiring to be the next Democrat star. Just like Jasmine Crockett. Like people forget this, but Jasmine Crockett started on the local level first. She was in local politics first, and then she gained some recognition there for fighting back against different types of legislation. And I think she was the one that organized the walkout in the Texas State House. So similar things, like this guy is obviously putting himself out there that way too. Like he's trying to have a political career as well. Like it's so obvious, man.
Yeah, it's like Jasmine Crockett's Hillary Banks, and this guy is Carlton.
Yeah, in real life, like that's.
There's Carlton Banks trying to act like he's down. Remember that episode in Fresh Prince of Bel-Air when Carlton actually went to East LA?
Yes.
And he tried to prove in a bet that he could be hood just like Will.
Yep. Yep. I remember.
He called himself C-Note. No. It's called Deutschmarks.
I remember, man. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, sorry. I got to clown on people who are caping for the duopoly, who really they make a whole lot of noise when it comes to actually doing things on the ground for their own people. It's just like, right. Anywho, let's continue. I got to hear this guy give his most, best Martin Luther King impression or Malcolm X impression. Jesus Christ, this guy.
Because they're nothing but some liar. We live because we need
Business.
I'm telling you guys, like, I'll see if I can find it. I'm telling you, he did not talk that way.
Look at wait. And the Oscar goes to.
I'm telling you. Oh my gosh. It's so obvious too.
Look, do we look like Boo Boo the Fool to you? We ain't the one or the two, so you got 3 seconds to get your ass out of here before we cut you out.
We preserve clean air, and our lungs are not preserved to Elon Musk or anybody else.
Hang on. Does he live in the community that's being affected right now?
Probably not.
Okay. Just checking. All right.
Stage 4 colon cancer. Other aunt lives across the street from her, kidney cancer, and I've smelled the smells. I see it in my job every day now. I'm not lying. They're not lying. We're not lying. We need the permit to be denied.
We deserve clean air. We deserve to be able to live in our communities and live long lives.
It's time to start telling the truth.
All right, so we heard from that guy, but I this is one lady I want to get to.
I found that video, by the way.
Huh?
I found that video.
Oh, okay.
Of his before and after, yeah. Just whenever you're ready.
Yeah. I just want to highlight this lady because she reminds me of somebody in my family.
Do the right thing. Deny this permit. Elon Musk, we can't say it any plainer. We do not want him in Memphis.
See, I like her energy. That's auntie energy right there.
Yes. Yes, indeed. So I found it. I'm gonna share it. Let me share my screen.
No.
It's funny. Everyone has to see.
I really should have gotten some alcohol in this. All right, go ahead.
Share audio. Okay. So let me make this bigger. Check this out, guys. Now, keep in mind, this is Fox News, so just keep that in mind. It's Fox News, but it's true that he did change. Watch this.
If you can spot the difference between Justin then and Justin now.
How can we represent all voices in a conversation? I wanted to do this by partnering with organizations from the Boone Democrats to the Boone Republicans. I want to bring together different voices, dissenting voices, voices that may be more liberal or more conservative, in order that we can reach a point of sort of the radical middle.
Seemed like the NRA and gun lobbyists might win. But oh, that was good news for us. I don't know how long this Saturday in the state of Tennessee might last. But oh, we have good news, folks. Make it stop! Sunday always comes.
What? And now I speak like a Baptist preacher because I'm trying to reinvent myself. Joy cometh in the morning. I love you, Jaybe.
If you love me, then why should I have to play that video?
I'm sorry. People need to see it. This is not to say that people can't change, but
wait. Hey, this is a good Martin Luther Van Joe.
Black Ronin, why? Why?
Wait,
oh my God.
Malcolm next.
This is bad. This is bad.
Oh my Lord.
But yeah, it's performative, right? Like, and again, what Elon Musk is doing is 100% wrong, right? But it was Democrats who let that get right through. It was Democrats who, you know what I mean? Like, so again, corporate interest always gets priority.
Yeah. And then they will use what's going on with Elon Musk as a way to say, well, we would never let that happen. And then next thing you know, they're like, donate to our Act Blue so that you can keep us in Congress or keep us in the Senate or keep us in the mayor's office so that we can fight for you. And then when it comes time to actually fight, when nobody's looking, they don't fight. And then this keeps happening again, because this is what the Democrats do. Oh man, look at that. They're actually doing this horrible thing. Republicans are doing this horrible thing. Donate to us. And then they put their hand out and then you give them their money. And then they're like, oh man, they keep doing this. I don't know if we can keep this up unless you guys continue to donate to our Act Blue. Come on. And then they tap their hands out again. And then every 2 to 4 years, they're dangling in front of your face again. And they have their hand out again. They do this to black people. They do this to working class people. They do this to LGBTQ people. They do this to women. They do this to everybody. And every single time you have a bunch of people who are desperate, who fall for it. And then they will vote for the people who are allowing. It's just like this. If you have a parent that is abusive and then you have another parent in the same household that allows the abuse to happen, is the parent that allows it, are they innocent in any way?
Yeah.
No. They are accessories to the crime. The Democrats are accessories to the crime.
It's like the graph that we were talking about a couple of days ago, that both the Democratic Party and the Republican Party have been increasing funding for ICE, both of them.
Yeah, they have. What did Joe Biden say? He said, we're not going to defund the police, we're going to fund the police. Do they not know that includes ICE?
I think a lot of people don't. But see, that's the good point there, Jaybe. That includes them too.
Yeah. And to my Black Americans, what part of fuck the police do you guys not understand? Do you guys know that ICE is also part of that too? Like
a lot of people. I don't think some people realize ICE is also police. So like when they say they're going to fund the police, that includes them too. That doesn't just mean, the officers in the blue.
Yeah. And so it's like, this is why it is so important for people to, come together and do mutual aid, especially when it comes to what happens to us on a local level, because they're going to slip things under the radar. And then what do we have? How are we going to combat this?
Right. Under has a really good point. If they have a gun and a badge, they police. There you go.
Mm-hmm. And I also include district attorneys, attorney generals.
Yes.
I include
DA. I also call them law enforcement.
Yep. So this is what's happening in a city like Memphis. Just be careful. It's going to affect all of us, because if they're coming after us, people in Memphis now, it's just a matter of time before they come to your town.
And I know, this is, go ahead, JB, sorry.
No, please go ahead.
Well, I know this segment is about Elon Musk, but don't forget, there have been a number of times where we covered Bill Gates as well, like going 2 years back. Also, like Bill Gates was stealing water from different towns and communities, buying up all this farmland. So Elon isn't the first, but see, here's the thing. Now, where were all the Democrats when Bill Gates started doing what I just told you he was doing? They're not going to say anything because that's someone on their team. Bill Gates is on their team. So they'll say he's a good billionaire. He's been stealing from communities. Nobody, they don't want to talk about it.
Yeah. Buying up all the farmland and things like that, right?
Farmland, stealing water. There was a woman who came on my show, this was about 3 years ago, who had informed me that Bill Gates was stealing water from their town in Arizona, was stealing it.
Yeah.
Nobody stopped him.
Definitely. So I'm going to be putting that link to that video in the chat so you guys can also share and go back to it. Whenever you guys get to it. And so just keep your head on the swivel, like Kit Cabela always says.
Yeah, please share that video, that information. Again, More Perfect Union was the only one I think Jaybe and I saw that revealed that. So share that with people, because I don't think a lot of people are aware of this.
Yeah, definitely. And so as far as this, or if you guys want to, you guys can share this stream as well, because a lot of people, they are unaware. And always look to the most disenfranchised and marginalized communities to see what's going on with them, because they are typically the canary in the coal mine. And once they start doing this to them, then other people are next. So please be sure to pay attention. It's like when you have somebody that's abusive around you. It's like, okay, I need to reveal who this person is so that it doesn't happen to somebody else, right? It's the same thing. That these entities are going to do things to somebody else. Okay, let your community know so that they could be aware, so they can fight against it.
Yeah, next time it could be him. Next time he'll go to another town. This won't stop with Memphis.
Yeah.
Just like it didn't stop with Arizona with Bill Gates.
Nope. So, yeah, thank you so very much to everybody for tuning in for that. If you guys have not already, go ahead and give a like to the stream. Thank you so very much. I'm glad we were able to cover that, Sabs, because that was absolutely necessary. I'm going to check on the Rumble side to see if we have any Rumble rants first. Looks like we're good on the Rumble side for right now. All right. And so we're going to go into the Rockfin side. Let me see. And let's pop out for a second here.
Rock to the fin. Rock to the fin.
You put that in my head. Every single time I think about the word Rockfin, I hear your voice going, it's the rock to the fin. It's the rock to the fin.
Rock to the fin, making people mad. I gotta check out what's going on with that too. Someone sent me something about that, so I gotta check on that.
Okay. Oh Lord, Roger. God. Okay. Roger says, JB, why you running around here looking like an Amish Negro jokes?
That's kind of funny.
I think you meant an Amish Negro joker. Oh my god. Oh my god. You want to know how I got these scars? Anyway, Roger continues, says, although Tennessee is not a CBI state, Memphis does allow for local ballot measures, but only as legislative referral. However, I could think of a perfect CBIA ratified interstate constitution anytime big business wishes to industrialize any part of the state and land allocated to it. Then the local legislator is mandated to first place a legislative initiative on the ballot, asking the people of that community, would they like this in their community? Here's a better citizen ballot initiative amendment, ratified interstate constitution. The moment that big business wishes to establish here, they must agree to making it cooperatively ran by the community or workers. People run them initiatives in your state before it comes to your state. Thank you very much for that, Roger. All right, let's get into the rest of the chat. I'm going to start off with, let's get into the super chats. Sabs, forgive me. Okay. JD advances on my couch, says, use couches for sale, hit me up. Okay. All right. Roger Meadows, thank you very much for this. He says, is that
Nebraska?
Nebraska?
Yeah.
Okay. Nebraska, Montana,
Missouri?
I'm sorry. Nebraska, Missouri, Montana, CBI states, they can stop them. Okay, thank you. Roger Meadows says Nebraska has state power, no privatized. Nebraska could be next. You see, Eid says AI will replace workers and is on track to utilize 91% of all electricity and further heat the planet. Electricity creates heat. Eric says Elon is a law unto himself. He likes to think so, but the thing is, like, the people have power, but we just got to realize it. But you're right, Eric, definitely. Cristino says sacrifice zones, fudge this. I'm moving to Burkina Faso.
Hey,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Hey, Cristino.
Mm-hmm.
We understand.
Mm-hmm.
We understand.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, they are sacrifice zones, right? For the sake of profit. Bender says tech companies are buying old factories and warehouses and turning them into data centers.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy. Let me see. This is out of the Rumble side. Seven Sword Mary says permit approvals ignored by Musk. I would also say ignored also by the city council, because the city council should have had meetings about this first. You know what I mean? And if anything, if I was on that city council, I would have went rogue and blew the whistle right when it was about to happen or right before it happened, so that the citizens know before it breaks ground.
I guess my whole thing is like, how do you come into someone else's town and just start building like without their permission?
Wait, remember what Martin used to say on the show? Respect my house.
Yeah. He also said, get to stepping.
Come on now.
He also said, get to stepping. He said, get out of my house. Get out. Get out.
And what did that lady that had that auntie energy say? She said, get the stepping, Elon.
Yep.
Stop. Chris says, look at Tom Steyer. Guy is a fake environmental guy, but guess what? He's a billionaire who wants what's profitable for him. I forgot about that guy. Let me see. Oh, Myra's mama says they're getting ready to build another one in New York, I think.
There you go. And by the way, and that's another thing to point out too, right? Like there's New York City, but upstate New York, like Rochester, Buffalo, Syracuse, all that. There's plenty of land there. Plenty of land. Like that part of New York, like especially before you get into those cities. So like all the areas surrounding like Syracuse, Rochester, and all that kind of stuff, it's rural, very rural. And I've driven through it before on the way to the Baseball Hall of Fame. It's very rural out there, and there's plenty of land.
My goodness. It's crazy because, you know, that's what's, if, you know, they're doing that. You know, my thing is that they're already suffering enough, right? Now, you know, the health issues that's going to happen 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the line. You know, it's like, what are you going to do for those people once they start to have the health issues?
I'm telling you, I really think they just want those people to die off. I really do. Like, I don't think this is why you never hear, notice you never hear politicians talk about the poor. The talking point is middle class, middle class, middle class, middle class, middle class, middle class. They don't talk about poor people because they see them as disposable.
Yeah. And we'll do this one more. Let me see. This is from Zach says, JB, how the kidney doing? I'm almost at 1 year post-transplant. Today is officially my 2-month anniversary since my transplant. So yes, it's doing pretty good so far. I went to the gym for the first time today in a long time. Last time I was in the gym was back in January. Then I had a whole bunch of health issues since then. So I was actually able to go to the gym today. And I'm tired. So y'all know. All right. Let me see here. So Sabs, you are doing a documentary, and I want to highlight this because, of course, editing is not cheap, and so I think it is important that people know, you know, so that they can help assist with your documentary. Documentary is called Removed, and so talking about gentrification. And so if you can expound on that a little bit.
Yeah, so we've already gathered like most of the footage at this point in time. I have an editor. He's a professional editor that's worked on documentaries before. He reached out to me and we meet every week. He's been doing great work so far. But he does have to be paid for his labor, right? So this isn't something that, you know, documentaries aren't cheap. Like they do cost money. And he's using like, you know, Adobe Suite, all that. Like he has like professional stuff that I just don't have. And even if I did have it, I don't have the skill. Just being honest with you. So we have been raising money to pay for his labor. The goal is 5,000. And right now it looks like we've raised a little over 1,000. So that's really good. But yeah, that's the goal. Like we're using this to pay for his labor, not to pay for like footage or anything like that. Cause I mean, like we have like our own like cameras and stuff like that for footage, but just to pay for his labor. He's been doing a great job. Like even when it comes to like the music, he's already started adding music and all that stuff. He made this graphic. I did not. So yeah, he's doing a great job. Great job.
That's awesome. And I can't wait for this to come out. Guys, if you guys can assist with that, then you guys can share that as well. And for Sabby's documentary, Roger says, hold up, Sab, answer for you on Rockman. So let me share this. Roger says we have not as an amendment, but an interwoven into the fabric of the New York State Constitution, the Forever Wild Clause that says a good portion of upstate New York will remain pristine and undeveloped. Okay.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that. That's interesting, Roger. Thanks for letting me know.
Yeah, yeah. That would be great for a lot of other places to have that as well, in other states. I especially would like to see something like that here in Florida, especially with the Everglades and a lot of the wildlife that we have here as well. So that's great. All right, so let's do this. Let's do a shout out to the patrons, and then we will talk about what you have coming up next. So without you guys, we would not be able to do this type of work. We at RBN don't just try to talk the talk, but we try to walk the walk. Yes, we try to walk with the big dogs. By big dogs, we're talking about the Malcolms, the Martins, the Fannies, the Asadas, and the Angelos when they were really radical. We try to do whatever we can to do the work on the ground like Fred Hampton did in the Black Panther Party. And so in doing so, it's like I said on a stream last night, is that we are activists and organizers that happen to be podcasters. And so if you guys, want to take some, if you guys want to follow the example of the revolutionaries of the past who have done the work, we do this work so that not only you're informed, but also we do this work because we want to show that, look, it's only going to happen through the people. And so because of you guys' support, then we're able to do this work day in and day out. Thank you so very much for that. Roger says DM. If it's long, I don't have the time, but let me see. Okay, so it's a quick video. All right. Let me do this really quick.
I have to go. But
okay. All right. So what do you have going on tonight, Sabs?
Yeah, so Steve Grumbine's coming on tonight. It's been a while since he's been on the show. He's going to break down the debt ceiling myth. We're also going to climb into that announcement from Josh Hawley about the $15 minimum wage piece of legislation that he wants to push. So we're going to dive into all that about what the government actually does have money for and push back on that debt ceiling myth. That's going to be good. And then we have, I actually have 5 news stories I'm going to cover after Steve, because I also wanted to cover that breaking story about the Boeing plane that crashed in India. So
got it. All right, Sabs, thank you so very much.
Bye, JP.
Check her out at 8 p.m. Eastern. All right, take care. All right, so let's get into this quick one with Roger. Roger sent me this. Says forever. So, let me mute myself. I can hear myself. He said the Forever Wild Clause in New York State Constitution protects the state's forest preserve, including the Adirondack and Catskill parks, by ensuring its remains forever kept as wild forest lands. This means it cannot be leased, sold, or exchanged, nor can the timber on the land be sold, removed, or destroyed. Key aspects of the Forever Wild Clause: protection from development. The clause prevents forest preserve from being used for purposes other than those related to its preservation as a wild forest. Timber restrictions. It prohibits the sale, removal, or destruction of timber within the forest preserve. Constitutional protection. The clause is enshrined to the New York State Constitution. Article 14, Section 1, making it a legally binding protection. Uh-oh. Don't know what happened there. Anyway, let's continue on. All right. It says, let's see the clause. Let me see. Clause applies to state-owned lands constituting the forest preserve, both those currently owned and those acquired in the future. While the Forever Wild Clause has been amended 16 times since 1938, the core principle of preserving the land as wild forest remains. The clause is a cornerstone of New York's conservation efforts, ensuring the protection of its forests, water sources, and wildlife habitats. Of course, let me see here. It says it allows for recreational activities like hiking, camping, and canoeing in the forest preserve, while maintaining its natural state. And then the clause was initially driven by concerns about deforestation and the impact of water supplies, particularly in the Adrian X. All right, so cool. Thank you very much for that additional information, Roger. So, guys, so just to let you guys know, tomorrow I will be doing a live show on my channel. So if you guys would like to, you guys can always go follow that. My channel and Sabby's channel is linked in the description below. I do have a special guest showing up tomorrow. So be sure to tune in at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for that show. And you guys will, if you guys are subscribed or if you guys take a look at my channel, you guys will see who that special guest is. But we're going to be having a very good conversation, especially regarding the Black community. And I think it's going to be a very important to talk about. But yes, I really want to have this conversation. Plus, I didn't do a show this Tuesday because I took a little bit of a break because I wanted to just, kind of just woosah, you know what I mean? So with that being said, outside of that, just let you guys know, as far as Sabby, I shared her fundraiser as well. But just to let you guys know, I am also still fundraising for, expenses for kidney transplant. Of course, kidney transplant is a gift. And so I do not want this gift to be wasted. And so, of course, if you guys know, I am still raising funds to be able to, help with being able to pay for expenses like medical bills, medications, travel to and from my appointments, also, and being able to afford, expenses, because to be honest with you guys, they actually cut my Social Security disability because of my losing Medicaid. So they did that for this month. So just to let you guys know, yes, that's what happened. But I will put the link for that in the description. I'm sorry, in the comments if you guys would like to donate. But yeah, donate or share. That's for me for my transplant expenses so far. So thank you very much for that. So while that's cleared away, be sure to tune in this Sunday for the Jaybe show as well. We'll be covering news stories, so be sure to tune into that. And so be sure to tune in to Sabby in about 90 minutes from now at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you guys so very much for watching. Like I always say, water your plants, water yourselves. Leave the world better than you found it. Do all the things if you got them, And when I say smoke them if you got them, not like Elon Musk and his data centers. No. We're not doing that one. Not the pollution kind, but the kind that takes you to the upper room if you would like, or drink them if you got them, even if it's nothing that's alcoholic. Look, hey, some water, some coffee, some tea, maybe even a little bit of soda, within moderation. Anywho, don't tell Sabby I mentioned soda. All right, everybody, take care. Have yourself a wonderful day. Mwah. I'll see you guys in the next one. Forehead kisses to all of you. Bye-bye.